US.
This is Thomas Williams with Mountain View Nissan of Cleveland. Stop by today and take advantage of Bradley County's largest pre-owned inventory, or visit cleveland-nissan.com, home of the lifetime warranty.
Hey, Andy Morris here. Join me along with my co-host on The Drive, presented by Hardees, weekdays at 5 p.m. on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Cleveland and Bradley County's local sports show, weekdays at 5 on ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
From the Kia of Cleveland Studios, this is ESPN Cleveland 101.3, WCLE HD2 Cleveland, W267BI Cleveland, ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
The top of the hour is presented by Best Buy Metals, making the top of your house the best it can be. Visit bestbuymetalroofing.com.
It's time for The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, presented by Hardees. We will bring you nonstop sports news from the national and local scene and everything in between. So buckle up and join in on the conversation. It's The Drive.
Don't take no slap. Got a thirst for killing. Think about it.
Welcome back to The Drive. It's Wednesday. Jim Gunn back in the building with me. I'm Andy Morris, and I tell you what, let's go ahead and kick things off celebrating our Braves today because they got the win up in Milwaukee, took the series against the Brew Crew. Jim, you know I'm feeling good. I'm decked out in my Brave stuff today.
Yeah, you're decked out in the World Series commemorative uniforms with the little gold trim around all the red and blue. Really classy looking jersey.
Had to get the good mojo going, man.
And he's got the Ronald Acuna jersey, who, by the way, he is tearing it up right now, man. We talked yesterday about could he possibly be an all-star, and frankly, I can't imagine why you wouldn't want him on the team if you're any National League person, even if you're not a Braves lover. You want the best players, and he's far and away the best player on the Braves roster. But he had another great game again today. But no, the Braves, they take 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee, a really hard place to win. They're really a good home team. So going in there and winning 2 out of 3, and so now the Braves got to feel a little bit better about themselves. And the good thing, which you just love this, they got a complete game from their starting pitcher that saves the bullpen for another day and stuff like that. It was like a win and a win. You got to save your bullpen. Your starter goes 9 innings. The offense looks solid. So a great all-around day to be an Atlanta Brave.
Yeah, and of course, since we're talking Braves, we're going to go ahead and get this in. Our friends at Mayfield, huge Braves fans over there, and they pretty much run all of our Braves coverage here on The Drive. So shout out to Mayfield Ice Cream. When it comes to Mayfield Dairy Ice Cream, you'll never have a boring bite. Their limited edition ice creams, cherry chocolate chip, banana pudding, are inspired by traditional Southern recipes and seasonal favorites. Pick some up today at your local grocery store, and you can visit them online at mayfielddairy.com. So talking Atlanta Braves to lead the show off. First of all, kind of changing it up on us here on The Drive because it was a early 2:10 first pitch up there in Milwaukee, and as you alluded to, a Spencer Schwellenbach complete game, 5 hits, 2 runs, and no walks, 9 strikeouts. That's a solid day. And one thing that we've consistently said on the show, you and I, Jim, is that if there's an area of concern, it's your bullpen. What better way to avoid that than just let your starter pitch a complete game?
You're right. You're preaching to the choir right here, because I can't tell you how many times, and it doesn't matter which Major League team, I see it time and time again, where managers feel the need to put their closer in every time. I'm like, it's okay if the starter just having a dominant start. He was dominant in the 8th inning. Let him get a complete game. You don't have to lead the league in saves. It's okay if your closer doesn't close. My thing is, read the room. If your pitcher is having a great day, let him finish it out. Listen, the way that, and I hate living in the past, I'm going to sound like an old guy. Back when I was younger, you had guys throwing complete games time and time again, even guys that were on the losing end. You'd see, Phil Niekro, I don't know how many complete game losses he had in his career. Now, he threw a knuckleball, granted, but you had guys like Bob Gibson, Tom Seaver throwing, probably 130 pitches. They didn't keep count back then, but these guys would throw complete games time and time again. And here's my thing, and this is the way I feel about it. The best pitchers on your staff generally are the starters. I know occasionally you may have a dominant closer, but usually your starter, he's the best because he can go multiple innings. And sometimes if he's got electric stuff, let him go ahead and finish the whole game out. So I'm glad to see the Braves get a complete game this afternoon, and it really does save some of that's taxing some of that stress you put on the bullpen.
Yeah, you talk about back in your day. Back in my day, listen, it was normal to watch Greg Maddux throw a complete game. For all those Braves fans out there listening that were paying attention in the 90s, he did that pretty often. It was normal to see those guys. Al Leiter is another guy. He wasn't afraid to go out and throw a complete game. That's a guy that was solid pitcher for the New York Mets that we like to bash here on this station. But it's when you're coming out of a spot that our Braves are right now in 2025, where you've lost a lot of games, you've put yourself in such a tough position. It's very helpful to have a start from Chris Sale the way you did 2 nights ago. And unfortunately, last night Grant Holmes couldn't get the job done, but not a terrible start.
No.
I mean, he went out there and was competitive, gave up some runs, and it was just a game where the offense went cold. That's what cost you last night. But then to follow that up where, your bullpen has had some rest over several days, and now you completely save them. Every single inning, your starter's rolling out there and looks confident rolling out there in the 9th. It's a bullpen that's been struggling like Atlanta's couldn't come at a better time. And one thing that I thought was very telling is that Dylan Lee did get up in the 9th inning to come get the save potentially. So
he has become, I guess, the quote unquote closer for the Atlanta Braves. Obviously, it's short. We don't know how long of a leash he's got, but I'll tell you one of the biggest, and this is a stat that I never really used to pay attention to, but I do now. Schwellenbach faced 31 guys. Of those 31 guys, the first pitch to 25 of them was a strike. That is such a big stat. I never really thought about it, but I heard an analyst talk about that. It puts a lot of stress on the hitter at that point because they're already it's a stressful thing because now they've only got 2 more strikes to work with. The odds of those guys, throwing 25 out of 31 first pitch strikes that's a very, very good stat. That's something that I pay more attention to now than I probably did 2 or 3 years ago, and only because I heard a pitcher make a stat, or no, it was actually a pitching coach make a case about that. I'm like, okay. So now I do pay attention to that.
that's one thing that you hear a lot across Major League Baseball nowadays is attacking the hitter.
Right.
And being able to locate. Now, first pitch strike right down the heart of the plate isn't great, but when you can locate on the corners, still dealing with this sinus infection, guys, I apologize, but when you can locate on the corners, that's something. First pitch strike, you get someone off balance, you attack high in the zone. We saw that with Chris Sale the other night. When he's throwing 96, 97 up in the zone and then has that slider working, how is it fair to a hitter to be able to try to square something up against that guy? Same arm slot, angle, everything. That timing wise throws batters off so bad. But going back to Dylan Lee warming up in the 9th, there were some questions that maybe situationally Raciel Iglesias, depending on the order who was coming up, Dylan Lee's a lefty. You want to play those matchups potentially between him and Raciel, which I don't think is a bad idea. I wouldn't mind that, but I'm such a big Dylan Lee fan that I want to see him get an opportunity to be the full-time closer at some point, but I also kind of wonder, well, maybe since Raciel had some confidence from that good 8th inning outing, the game that Chris Sale got the win, first game of the series, maybe he's comfortable rolling out there with the matchup, and we can kind of platoon that closer role.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's going on in Snicker's mind and the pitching coach, and I'm sure that they've got a plan before every game and everything. But no, I'm like you. I think Dylan Lee looks the part. But like I said, I mean, the further that your starter can stay in there, I think that's just much better as an Atlanta Braves fan, because you know that the middle relief has probably been as iffy as anything. So if you can get through the 7th and into the 8th inning, man, you're way ahead from where they've been. So, no, I think it all depends on how good and how long these starters go to see the effectiveness of this bullpen. And you can, of course, I know you got to face a minimum of 3 hitters. By the way, what's your opinion about that, the minimum of hitters? I know that back a few years ago, man, we saw pitching changes, a lefty versus lefty. Then they take him out, righty versus righty. Now lefty versus lefty. Man, it'd make the game drag on. Now today's game, by the way, went 2 hours and 10 minutes. What's your opinion about that rule?
So there's things that I kind of like about it, to be honest. I like the fact that when we bring in a relief pitcher, I get to actually take it in and see him pitch consecutive batters. I kind of enjoy that, honestly. One thing that I feel like it's without a doubt picked up the pace of the game.
That's the big thing.
There's no doubt. And we were kind of joking before we went on air about 2 hours and 10 minutes. I'd kind of be frustrated if I paid for a ticket and it went that quick and you're on the losing team. Like, you didn't even get to enjoy a ball game. But, we're used to going to the ballpark and being there for 3.5 hours. Like, that was normal. But there's pros and cons to it as far as I'm concerned. And as far as pace of play, I understand you're trying to attract the younger crowd that has a little bit shorter of an attention span. I get that. But as a baseball fan, I think it's overall good for the sport just because you're not stopping the game completely every hitter.
Yeah.
Because we'd see 8, 9 pitchers in some games for a team at some point.
You'd see sometimes 4 and 5 in the 8th inning.
Yes, insane.
It's
too
that's
much.
one thing I actually do. I do like the minimum of 3 batters that the pitcher. That's one rule I do like. I'm not a fan of the larger bases. I despise the runner on second base in extra innings.
Same here.
The pitch clock, I'm okay with it to a certain point. I know when they first implemented it, you saw automatic balls because they didn't get it, going quick enough. But these days, most guys, they've had it in the minors for a while. They're used to it now. Yeah. So it's really not, I don't really pay much attention to that anymore. But some of the rules I'm anti. Most of them I'm okay with, but I really do like the minimum 3 hitters because it used to drive me crazy, the pitching changes going on batter after batter after batter.
Yeah, I feel like that it's definitely sped the game up. That was the idea behind that rule. The ghost runner drives me crazy.
Yeah, I can't stand that one.
The game of baseball, you got to earn stuff. You want base runners, you need to get a hit or get a walk.
Yeah, you talked about this the other day, and I never thought about it and how it would be. Let's say a guy has a perfect game, and you know what? He's gone 9 hitters. Well, he's so dominant, they're going to put him out there in the 10th. He's throwing a perfect game, and there's a runner on base. That just blows my mind.
Isn't that crazy?
That blows my mind. That's a possibility. Now, the odds of a guy throwing a perfect game are so slim, and the odds of him going beyond 9 innings is even slimmer.
And it being
it is
a tie game to go into extra innings.
It is possible. It is possible. And when you brought that up, I never thought about that, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you feel like sometimes Rob Manfred does a little too much. And the ghost runner is one of those things. Now, you talked about the pitch clock. I liked it initially. Now I think we could add 5 more seconds to it because what it did, it took away pitching styles.
Yeah.
Johnny Cueto was a guy that would kind of manipulate that. If you remember him, and when he was with the Reds, surely a lot of our listeners are aware how he would pitch. Sometimes he would quick pitch you, and he would do it consistent. And then sometimes he would do the old Louis Tiant where he would turn his back, lift the knee up, look into the sky, and then deliver the pitch 5 seconds later. Yeah. So a guy like him could kind of manipulate that. Once that pitch clock came around, he had to completely change his style while he was still in the league. Yeah. And it's one of those things. I just hate that it took away the difference of approach from pitchers. There's some guys that when you knew they were starting for the other team, you'd say, oh my gosh, this is that guy that takes forever to throw a pitch. And it's good that that's not a problem anymore, but I don't like it being overly rushed. And we want to keep these pitchers healthy, all these Tommy John surgeries. rushing them, I don't think is necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them go with a longer pitch count or pitch clock, maybe add a couple seconds. You said something like 5 seconds.
Add 5 seconds to it.
The one thing, and I don't know who's going to be the next commissioner of Major League Baseball, but the one thing I hope and I pray the next commissioner says no more automatic runners and extra innings. We're going back to the pre-COVID that never made sense to me. What the heck does COVID have to do with putting a guy on second base?
Yes.
That made no sense. The larger bag, I could probably live with that. I can get used to that. I will never get used to the runner on second base and extra innings. That's the one rule I cannot stand.
Yeah, COVID was an excuse to do that in order to try to help hurry up games.
I guess.
And that because it was already being used in the minor leagues before COVID. They had started doing it to sample it and see how they liked it, just like they're doing with the automated strike zone now.
Oh, that's coming. You know that.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm a baseball purist. Do I like the idea of every call being accurate? Yes, but you're taking the human element out of the game. Like one thing, you remember...
Who was the umpire everyone couldn't stand? Angel Hernandez?
Angel Hernandez is one.
Could you imagine him and, oh God.
Joe West, Cowboy Joe West, remember him?
Oh, Lord, yeah. Yeah. You had your prima donnas as umpires out there.
So the one thing that, as a Braves fan, I'm kind of thinking back, like when would I have liked to have had
Eric Gregg,
the automatic strike zone, and it was against the Florida Marlins.
Eric Gregg.
Yeah. And it was
they were a foot and a half outside.
It was so bad, and I believe Tom Glavine started that game for us, and it was Levon Hernandez who started for Florida.
That's right.
And he was getting strikes a foot and a half off the plate.
And that is no exaggeration. You go to YouTube.
It was
watch
insane.
Yeah, there were times where I'm sitting there going, what in the world? How in the world could he call those strikes? And it got to a point where he expanded the strike zone every inning. And by the time the 8th inning rolled around, he was. I mean, you watch that clip on YouTube. Yeah. Fred McGriff. I thought he was going to lose his mind, and this guy he was under control almost.
Yeah, he
all
was
the
such
time.
a calm demeanor.
He was about to lose his mind in that game. That was nuts.
Yeah, so once again, the Braves do win the series today with the 6-2 win over the Milwaukee Brewers. And before we go to commercial break, we got to talk about Ronald Acuna Jr.
Oh, my gosh.
Just because another home run for him today, a lot of offensive output. Michael Harris got things rolling in the second inning with a home run, and Acuna with his as well. Looking down the hit column here, Acuna had 3 hits, and they're so glad he's out of Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
Because what a phenomenal series for him. Drake Baldwin, one of my favorite calls that I heard I was listening to the game on the radio today, and Ben Ingram said, the best thing out of Milwaukee since Miller Lite, Drake Baldwin. And that made me laugh while I was listening to the game. But Austin Riley had a hit today. Up and down the lineup, Eli White was the only one that didn't have a hit today. So the bats are popping, and when that's happening, the Braves are winning ball games.
Yeah, they like I said, they had 10 hits as a team. Acuna was 3 for 5, hitting .353 on the year with 6 homers. And try to prorate that. Had he been healthy since day one, he probably got close to 20 homers. Trying to prorate it throughout the rest of the year. He is just absolutely just raking, and he's diamond. He's dynamite there, and I know he's still leadoff hitter. I kind of wish he was hitting 2 or 3, but maybe he wouldn't be as good. I don't know. I know this much: if he's leading off the game, I am not throwing this guy a strike. I am not throwing one that's even close to over the plate because I'm going to make sure that. Hopefully he swings and misses, but I'm not going to tee one up for him.
Yeah, he's a high-energy type of guy, and years back, Snitker tried to make that move where they put him in the 3 spot, and he just wasn't comfortable there. He didn't hit as well, and he vocally said, I like hitting leadoff better.
Yeah,
Can I go back to leadoff? And they've not really ever messed with it since. I do think once he continues to age a little bit and become more comfortable and probably becomes more of a power guy. He's already a power guy, but he's an everything guy right now. And he can get on base as your leadoff guy and potentially steal bases, even though we've not attempted that yet. Yeah,
eventually.
But I could see him eventually being a 3-hole guy. But loving what he's doing at the top of the order, and as long as the bats behind him are performing, it's good results for the Atlanta Braves. Good thing about tomorrow, it's an off day. Get to come back home to Atlanta, recuperate, and then start a 3-game series with the Colorado Rockies. who, if you don't know, are the worst team in baseball.
And you know what? Speaking of the Rockies, hey, we have a Father's Day contest here on ESPN Cleveland. Sign your father or a father you know to win 4 tickets to see the Braves versus Rockies on Father's Day. That's this Sunday on June 15th. The winner will be announced Friday at 8 in the morning on Mixed Mornings. By the way, this is sponsored by Mayfield Dairy Farms. When you do this, include your name, and that is this is for the Father's Day contest. Text that at 423-749-1013. That's 423-749-1013 to try to win some tickets to the Braves Rockies game on Father's Day. What a great Father's Day gift that would be.
Yeah, that's awesome, especially with the current Braves team that's starting to get hot.
Yeah.
You would have asked us that a couple days ago. We might say, hey, who can we give these tickets to? But yeah, listen, it's a good time to be a Braves fan because things look like they're starting to turn around. Don't want to be too crazy optimistic, but I'm excited.
Well, that was a good team that they took 2 out of 3 from.
Absolutely.
On the road, and the Braves have been just horrendous on the road this year. Maybe this will get them going. Because, listen, they were road warriors a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They were going on the road and just winning left and right. But
yeah, maybe we can point our finger to this series here in a few weeks and say that's where we turned it around. Who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, you're listening to The Drive. We'll be right back after these messages.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Hardees is hiring. Join the Star Team. Flexible scheduling, daily pay, free meals, 20% family discount, plus paid vacation for part-time and full-time employees. Apply in-store or online at hardees.com today.
Hip or knee pain holding you back? There's a new reason to feel hopeful. Dr. Andrew Carlone is now part of the team at Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics in Cleveland. He brings advanced training in total hip and knee replacement, including minimally invasive techniques that get you back on your feet faster. Let Cleveland's orthopedic experts help you live your best life. Call 423-624-2696 or go to sportmed.com to book your visit now.
Not all composite decking is the same. Enjoy life's beautiful moments on an equally beautiful composite deck. Envision's products feature deep, non-repeating grains and distinct colors throughout each pour, offering a truly unique appearance unlike anything else on the market. Learn more and find inspiration for your project at Cleveland Plywood. Cleveland Plywood Company, 2700 20th Street Northeast in Cleveland.
Hey guys, this is Dan Good from Crown. Just reminding you that Crown Ram is Cleveland and Bradley County's Ram headquarters.
Do you suffer from unsightly leg veins? Are your legs turning brown or swelling? Do your legs feel heavy, tired, or achy? Do you have restless legs or leg cramps disturbing your sleep? These symptoms are signs of bad veins. Dr. James Gooden at Milligan Vein offers an office treatment that can make you look and feel better, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Find more information online at milliganvein.com or call Dr. Gooden today at 423-961-5682 and get rid of those bad veins.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. Hope everyone out there is having a good Wednesday. Hey, our friends over there at Duracell are now hiring mechanical skilled technicians, $22 to $27 an hour. Excellent benefits beginning day one: medical, dental, and vision insurance, paid vacation, holiday pay, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. That's Duracell.com. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, talk a little college football. By the way, I remind, just to let everyone know out there, if you're a college football fan, we got 2 really good guests next week. Adam Rittenberg from ESPN.com. He's going to come on with us Monday right at the top of the show at 5 o'clock and get his take on the college football season that's right around the corner. And then on Wednesday at 5:15, Tony Barnhart, Mr. College Football himself, is going to be with us. If you remember, Tony Barnhart was on the SEC on CBS on the pregame show for many, many years. And so he's going to join us on Wednesday. So we got Adam Rittenberg on Monday, Tony Barnhart on Wednesday. Now, Andy, I have purchased the first 2 preseason magazines that I've seen out there. I got the Athlon and I got the Lindy's, the national publications. Interesting top. You look at the ratings. Now, the top 3 teams in both magazines are the same. They both have Texas number 1. They both have Penn State number 2, and they both have Ohio State at number 3. There's some changes after that, but looking at the difference between where they've got Tennessee ranked, and this, I had a feeling that we were going to see this. Some people are thinking, oh my gosh, they lost Nico Iamaleava. They're going to stink. And apparently that's the philosophy of Lindy's. They've got Tennessee sitting at number 32.
Yeah,
32.
And
this is a playoff team from last year.
I think that is strictly, and you said that one's Lindy's,
this
correct?
Is Lindy's. You got Athlon over here.
So I think that is strictly on the premise that Joey Aguilar is completely new to the system, got there late in the spring, and that's the guy who's touching the ball more than anybody on your team. So I think that's where that ranking is, and they're kind of, I would say, kind of betting against the Vols.
That's what I'm thinking
with
too.
Lindy's. And over at Athlon, Tennessee ranked 21st. I think that's a fair ranking because, listen, first of all, I'm one of those people. Preseason rankings are fun to talk about.
Oh,
they're
great for
enjoyable
us.
to talk about,
Yeah.
but they don't mean squat.
No, they don't.
They mean nothing. So starting at 21 is great, but if Tennessee's able to open the season up with a few wins in a row, they're going to get the respect that they deserve. And if Joey Aguilar proves, hey, listen, I'm better than Nico, then everyone's going to jump on that bandwagon really quick. So don't get too frustrated with these preseason rankings.
No, but it makes for good fodder, good, I guess, sport talk radio.
Sure
That's
does.
what we're doing right now.
Sure does.
But it is interesting. I'm a big fan of these preseason magazines. I've been getting them for as long as I can remember. They're fun. What's really cool, and I need to bring in some of the old ones I've got so you can see, is look at the 2 things I like to watch are the preseason top 25 or back in the day top 20 and the recruiting. Look at the names of the top guys and how many busts there were.
Tons.
You're like, I don't remember that guy. He was like the 3rd-rated guy. And then every now and then you'll see, I'll never forget, I think it was either 81 or 82, where the number 1 guy was John Elway. Number 2 was Eric Dickerson. And you're like, man, they nailed those.
Yes.
Every now and then you'll see some of these back issues. And you're like, man, they really were spot on. And then the other ones, man, they just missed big time. And it's fun to go back and look at stuff like that.
Yeah, one thing that really that I enjoy about these magazines is kind of seeing the all when they do the All-American projections and stuff. I enjoy that. But one thing when it comes to the recruiting stuff, year after year after year, you see some of the most successful players in college football, and when they're talking about them, they say, and this guy was a 3-star. That is so common that guys, guess what? They just do the legwork. Kids, if you're listening, it don't matter what star you are coming out of high school going into college. If you put the time in, you can be pretty dang good.
Oh, yeah.
And
Cam Ward, wasn't he a 0-star?
Yes. No one knew who he was.
He's the number 1 pick in the NFL draft.
Pavia from Vanderbilt. The guy played JUCO before anyone knew who he was. And some of these guys are now arguing for a big payday because it's a business now. Not to go down that rabbit hole.
It is what it is, though.
Exactly. So it's really neat, as you said, to go back and see what the projections were and what the so-called experts thought about certain players. And there's always going to be those guys that just completely break the mold and show up and show out. And there's going to be those guys who think, hey, I'm a 5-star, I'm being recruited by everybody, I don't have to put the time in, and they drop off. You would see that happen at Alabama a lot because there were so many in the Nick Saban era, there were so many 5-stars and so many good players that it was either kill or be killed when it came to making that roster. And a lot of guys went there and figured out, like, listen, I'm a dime a dozen down here. And then they'd have to, swallow the tough pill of standing on the sideline. Some of them would not even finish their careers. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's go. I'm going to go. I've got the Lindy's magazine. So here is Lindy's top 25. So I'm going to stop me from time to time if you're like, oh, hold on, Jim. Okay, Texas 1. Penn State 2, Ohio State 3, Clemson 4, LSU 5.
Hey, hold up. Let's stop right here. Clemson 4, LSU 5. Both of those. So I'm not trying to be a Brian Kelly hater. I'm really not. But to have them, the roster's loaded. I get it. But it seems like year after year, he's catching so much heat from everybody. I think Lindy's has given him and the LSU program the benefit of the doubt here and kind of treating them the complete opposite as the way they're treating Tennessee here, because Tennessee's got a good roster.
They're propping LSU up.
Yeah, big time. So that's one that I'm kind of like, hold up. Like, I know it's a talented roster and Kelly's a good coach, and he just struggles in the big game, and he's proven it year after year, regardless of where he was. If it was at Notre Dame or at LSU, he struggles in the big game.
Okay, here we go. 6 is Notre Dame, 7 Oregon, 8 Alabama. Here's the shocker, 9 Georgia. I cannot imagine anyone having Georgia ranked number 9. Well, I bet you $1 million Georgia's top 5 in the AP.
Well, what stands out to me there is that Alabama is ranked ahead of Georgia.
Yeah, they are.
That in no world should that happen right now.
This is Gunnar Stockton. I'll promise you. That's the reason they don't have any faith in Gunnar Stockton. That's the only reason, because Georgia is loaded.
Such a small sample size.
Every other position, they are loaded. They got 5 stars like galore, and they've got Georgia number 9. That shocked me. They got Miami 10, SMU 11. Oklahoma 12. Now, Oklahoma hadn't done squat.
They were terrible last year.
They haven't done squat. They did get the transfer quarterback in, but my gosh.
I want to talk about Georgia. I want to go back to that for a second. Gunnar Stockton. First of all, an extremely small sample size of what you got to see from a young, inexperienced Gunnar Stockton, and he showed some moments of some toughness, some grit, the ability to play the position. He's had a whole offseason to prepare under probably the best coaching staff in college football.
Probably from top to bottom.
Currently. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if those of you that listen to Paul Feinbaum that comes on before our show, he talked with Kirby Smart during the SEC Media Day. And Kirby made the comment, he said, hey, thanks for that. Just because Feinbaum's been very critical of Gunnar Stockton. And Kirby said, hey, thanks. We're paying attention. We're listening to that.
At the spring meetings down there in Destin?
Yeah, so what that's telling us is that Gunnar hears the doubters. And the guys that hear that, they want to prove everybody wrong. I'm not going to bet against Georgia. I'm sorry. I'm not a Georgia guy. I'm not betting against them. And to put Alabama, who went up to Vanderbilt and lost last year, I'm not doing that. That's crazy to me.
Wait a minute. They've got 3 SEC teams ahead of Georgia. They've got, of course, Texas. They've got LSU and Alabama. They got Georgia 4th.
That's delusional.
Yeah.
That's delusional.
I'm not buying that. Okay, like I said, all right. Again, Miami is number 10, SMU 11, Oklahoma 12. That's a little high for me for them. South Carolina at 13. Arizona State at 14. I don't know about that because Arizona State lost a lot of guys. But you know what?
Scadaboo's gone.
Yeah, Scadaboo's gone. He was the heart and soul of that team. Florida 15. I could see Florida maybe being a little higher than that. I really like this Gator team.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
Michigan 16. Illinois 17. Texas Tech 18. Ole Miss 19. Boy, losing Dart. That's a big loss. Kansas State 20. BYU 21. Iowa State 22. Louisville 23, Nebraska 24, Baylor 25. So you got a few surprises, but man, Tennessee down to 32.
I would almost I think Matt Rule's doing a great job at Nebraska. I would have them higher than 24.
Yeah, they're returning a lot of their guys. They did win a bowl this past year, so listen. I think the future's bright in Lincoln, Nebraska for sure.
Yeah, and again, this is stuff to get the conversation started, to get the interest going, and it's working right here on our show because I'm listening to you rattle some of those off, and I'm thinking, what are these guys doing?
I think the 2 big shockers to me are Georgia at 9, way too low. Oklahoma at 12, way too high. So those are the 2 that stand out to me. What do you got? And this was Lindy's, by the way.
Yeah, so the one that I have is the Athlon Sports College Football Preview. And first of all of you Tennessee fans, Boo Carter's on the cover.
On the front cover.
Which is pretty cool. Right there beside Gunnar Stockton, you Georgia Bulldog fans. So definitely want to check this one out. But so number 1 team in the country, according to Athlon Sports preseason top 25, is Texas. I think across the board, a lot of people favor Texas as the number one team in the country.
Arch Manning, man.
Yes.
It's Arch Manning.
Number 2, Penn State. I think that's a little high. I do. I think it's a little high. Without looking at their schedule, maybe their schedule favors that they're going to be right in the mix come playoff time.
They're playing in Columbus this year. They're playing in Columbus this year. So
and so right there, Ohio State number 3 in the Athlon Sports. Number 4, Georgia, getting the respect that they deserve.
To me, that's more realistic there.
Yeah, I feel like Lindy's had to have been taking a shot for some reason.
It has to be Gunnar Stockton. That's the only thing I can
Kirby
imagine.
Smart's made someone mad at Lindy's, apparently. Number 5 in Athlon is Clemson, getting a lot of respect. And lining up, I believe
Klubnik's back. You know, they've got a solid team there in Clemson for sure.
Yeah, number 6, Notre Dame. Number 6 in both of those rankings. Number 7, LSU. Number 8, Alabama. Number 9, Oregon. And 10, Miami. So I want to stop right there. I think 10, Miami is pretty high. I think that's high for Miami.
They got them at 10 here too, and obviously Carson Beck's there.
I'm not sold on him, man.
They've gotten a lot of transfers into Miami, so we shall see. Listen, they had Cam Ward last year, and they still didn't make playoffs.
Yes,
They're
and
number one draft pick in the entire NFL draft.
The more I hear about Carson Beck too, the more I'm like, I don't know if I want this guy, being our conductor here. I don't want him running the show. He's an odd dude.
Is he fully recovered from that injury that he had in the postseason? I mean, he's had several months, obviously, to recoup. So we'll see how he is. But I like Carson Beck as a quarterback. But coming off an injury like that is very concerning.
Well, one thing, if this is kind of coming out of the Miami camp down there, a lot of his teammates just think he's a weird dude. And I'm not trying to throw shade at the guy. I don't know him personally, but his teammates at Georgia kind of said the same thing. His ex-girlfriend hanging out with the Donald Trump's granddaughter, big viral video there.
I saw that.
I don't know how far you look into that kind of stuff, but when your own teammates and former teammates are kind of saying stuff, there's got to be some chemistry issues. I don't know. I'm not sold on Carson Beck in Miami. Number 11, Florida. I think Billy Napier got things figured out last year. I like Florida being in that 12 to 15 range.
I do too. And you remember this guy last year lived on the hot seat all during the preseason and for the first couple weeks of the season. But man, he made some strides and he's got things rolling there in Gainesville.
Yeah, number 12, South Carolina, 13, Kansas State, 14, Arizona State. Where was Arizona State in that one again?
Arizona State was 14 here also.
So pretty accurate
Consistent.
there.
Yep.
Consistent. Number 15, Michigan, 16, Indiana, 17, Illinois. So you've got a stretch of Big Ten teams right there where I think Indiana has got something to prove this year.
Indiana's 31 in Lindy's. That's a big difference.
Wow, that is
a big difference.
Sitting at number 16 in Athlon, I think they're a team. They're going to be dangerous because they feel like they have something to prove because they were criticized so much for their weak Big Ten schedule that they had, not really playing a lot of the better teams outside. They played Ohio State, right?
Yeah, that was their only
tough game.
But my thing about Indiana, they played the two teams that played for the national championship 2023. They played Michigan and they played Washington. It's not Indiana's fault those two teams had bad seasons.
They dropped off. Yeah.
Indiana played them and beat them fair and square. So I'm one of these guys I tried to justify because, like I said, they played the two teams that played in the national championship game just 1 year prior. So
and when you're arguing strength of schedule, I take that into account. But when it gets
now
to,
their non-conference schedule is a joke.
Yeah, it is.
There's no doubt.
And
about
when
that.
it gets to playoff time, so I view making your schedule, because as a Notre Dame fan, this is something I've had to say for years. Listen, we're playing Florida State. We can't help it. They won 2 games.
Yeah, you
whatever.
can't help that.
It is what it is.
The intent was there.
Yes. So I don't like teams being criticized early along in the season because of that. But when it comes to playoff time, I think you look at body of work. And Washington, Alabama, none of those teams were the same teams they were the year before.
Yeah.
They were far from it.
And there again, you can't hold it against the teams that have them on the schedule because those opponents had bad years.
Yes. So 17 Illinois, 18 Ole Miss, 19 Texas A&M, and Oklahoma 20. And, of course, the Tennessee Vols sitting at number 21 in the Athlon Sports preseason.
Yeah, now they've got Texas A&M 34 in Lindy's. Where are they in Athlon?
18.
Man, that's a huge difference.
That's a big gap.
They've got about 3 or 4 teams there. They've big-time difference.
Yeah, and to round out the top 25, Texas Tech at 22, Iowa State at 23, SMU at 24, who was a playoff team last year, and Boise State, also a playoff team at 25.
Okay. I mean, SMU, they got SMU 11 in this. I could see the justification in both those rankings, but some of these, like Tennessee, Indiana, and Texas A&M, just massive differences between the two magazines. But that's what makes this fun. Who will have the better, preseason predictions? We don't know until the end of the season when they have the postseason AP poll comes out, and you're like, well, Lindy's really stunk it up, or Lindy's nailed it.
Yeah.
We won't know.
So this is the one thing in the Athlon that I think is really cool as I'm flipping through while you're talking is they have the actual playoff bracket projections.
Oh, good. I love that.
This is so cool. And they've got Alabama playing LSU in the first round.
Sign me up for that.
They've got Ohio State and Boise State.
Sign me up for that.
Which, let me backtrack for a second. By the way, LSU's hosting Alabama in the first round. And Ohio State hosting Boise State. Georgia hosting their former quarterback and the Miami Hurricanes.
Oh, my gosh. Sign me up for Miami, Georgia.
I'm on board with this.
Oh, yeah. I'd love that.
And then they've got Notre Dame hosting Oregon. So those are your first-round matchups.
I would all four of those games, to me, just – gosh, I can't wait, man. I'm
so
getting
cool.
And these are all projections. I'm getting fired up.
So this is where the teams that receive the buys.
Okay.
This is
which, by the way, went 0-4 last year.
Yes. So Texas, they've got them eventually playing LSU in that quarterfinals.
So they got LSU beating Alabama.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Kansas State.
So is that Big 12 champs, I'm assuming?
I guess. That has them at the 4, which I kind of question. But playing Ohio State, we know how that's going to go.
That would be fun.
Clemson and Georgia. That's an iconic matchup right there.
ACC champs versus the Georgia winning their first-round game.
That's a rivalry.
Oh, gosh, yeah. They recruit against each other a ton.
And then a rematch, the number 2 Penn State Nittany Lions against Notre Dame.
Oh, my gosh. That would be awesome. That was such an entertaining game.
Came down
to
to a field goal.
It did. And really, I still say, and you'll be able to help me with this, the quarterback that came off the bench for Notre Dame, it sparked that team.
Steve Angeli.
Yeah.
He's now at Syracuse.
Yeah.
Tennessee Vol fans are going to see him this year.
They were not doing squat. He came in and really put a spark in them, and they were a better team from that point on because they just weren't getting anything done prior to that. But he came in and he looked the part, man. So those are some great matchups.
Yeah, that's just looking at this has got me fired up. We're ready for some college football while we're covering the Atlanta Braves, trying to break a losing streak and all that stuff.
No doubt about that. Now, we didn't even talk the NBA Finals, man.
I know that's coming up tonight.
I know. We'll talk about that when we come back from break.
Sounds good to me. Hey, you're listening to The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Some mornings call for a little extra comfort. Introducing Hardee's new home-style breakfast burritos with cheese, fluffy egg, crispy hash browns, breakfast sausage, bacon, and sliced ham in a warm tortilla served with a side of Texas Pete hot sauce. Home-style breakfast burritos, only at Hardee's. Goodness in the making. My Rewards members get a free blueberry biscuit or sausage biscuit when you order on the app. Limited time only. Exclusions may apply by time of day. See app for terms.
Hip or knee pain holding you back? There's a new reason to feel hopeful. Dr. Andrew Carlone is now part of the team at Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics in Cleveland. He brings advanced training in total hip and knee replacement, including minimally invasive techniques that get you back on your feet faster. Let Cleveland's orthopedic experts help you live your best life. Call 423-624-2696 or go to sportmed.com to book your visit now.
Do your legs feel heavy, tired, or achy? Dr. James Gooden at Milligan Vein offers an office treatment that can make you look and feel better, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Visit milliganvein.com or call Dr. Gooden today at 423-961-5682.
ESPN Cleveland 101.3 is powered by Duracell. For a quarter of a century, Mix 104.1 has been taking you out to the ball game.
Swanson to first. The Braves have won
champions! Since 2000, Mix 104.1 has been the home of the Atlanta Braves, and we're celebrating by giving away tickets to Atlanta Braves games all summer long. Listen for your chance to call or text to qualify. You can also register at the Mix socials on Facebook and Instagram. Braves 25 is presented by Cleveland Ford. Honest people, honest deals.
Cleveland Tire Center for over 45 years with the best name in tires: Bridgestone, Firestone, Goodyear, and Michelin. Northley Highway, Cleveland. Cleveland Tire Center, where the name says it all.
Need a new shop, garage, or other unique space? Explore post-frame building kits from Best Buy Metals. Best Buy Metals kits utilize steel trusses for the ultimate in strength and durability. When you need it to last, call Best Buy Metals. Stop by or visit bestbuymetalroof.com for your custom structure.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Welcome back to The Drive. Andy Morris here along with Jim Gum. And listen, the Salvation Army is giving away 2 tickets for the Summer of Fun to the IMAX Theater in Chattanooga. Listen, if you've not been to the IMAX and experienced that, it's a lot of fun, really, especially for the kids. And we appreciate the Salvation Army getting us those 2 IMAX tickets. All you got to do is call or text to 423-749-1013. Text is the way to go, in my opinion, on these. Put your name and IMAX if you want to win those IMAX tickets. And those are good to use at any point in time. Once again, sponsored here from the Salvation Army. So pretty cool 2-ticket giveaway there for the IMAX. Once again, text 749-1013 with your name and IMAX.
You ever been to the IMAX with the 3D glasses?
Yes.
Man, that's a gigantic screen. That stuff is so freaky, man. I've done that. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I was one of those guys that when it first came out, you go down there to the IMAX theater that was like reaching out and trying to grab stuff.
Yeah, like a dinosaur,
yeah,
like about to try to bite your head off.
Just looking like a complete moron. My wife said, "What are you doing? Stop!" So
I know
that's
it's
me.
Really funny.
But hey, listen, we've got NBA playoff basketball tonight coming up, and it's back in Indiana. Pacers trying to stay in the mix. Listen, that fan base is so fired up. It's kind of hard not to pull for them.
I agree.
Unless you're an OKC fan, obviously, but Indiana is such a when you think basketball, college basketball, pro basketball, it doesn't matter. That is in my mind, the Mecca of basketball. I think of the state of Indiana.
Yeah, I think of 3 states. I think of Indiana, Kentucky, North Carolina. Those are the 3 states.
No Kansas.
You're right. I should have included them. Okay, let's say there's 4 states.
Yeah.
So we'll include Kansas. But no, I think of those states they just love basketball. They just do. Now North Carolina's, they're a little bit into football as well. Don't get me wrong. But Kentucky and Indiana, those are 2 hoop-heavy states. Now, Notre Dame, your school, is in Indiana, but still, that is still what I consider a basketball state. And like I said, the Pacers, those fans they're fired up tonight. They're playing 8:30 is the tip. And we're going to have that on here, correct?
Yeah, right here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. I believe pregame starts at 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
right
I knew we were carrying. I couldn't remember what time pregame was. So 8 o'clock pregame, 8:30 first tip. But here's the thing, and I looked at this, Andy. I'm sure you probably did too. Let's say this thing goes all the way to Game 7. By the way, it's a 2-2-1-1-1 format, which means first 2 in Oklahoma City, next 2 in Indiana, then it goes Oklahoma City, back to Indiana, back to Oklahoma City. That's how they do the finals now. It would stretch out to June 22nd if it goes to 7 games. They have got this thing spread out so much. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and with the addition of the tournament in the middle of the season and the way they do things now, they're looking for money grabs in the NBA. They're looking to be able to market these events and stuff, and your finals needs to be the premier event. And I saw this story, I believe, on Yahoo, I think is where I saw it, where they were talking about the regular season tournament and the postseason, and how like the court was all done up for. Yeah. It's like, why are you not promoting your finals as much as you did that tournament? I know it's new and it's different, and so it's kind of shiny. But when you're talking NBA Finals, why not have a special court for that? Why not have the trophy plastered on that court?
Yeah, they were talking after the first game there in Oklahoma City. They're like, the court's not decorated hardly any. And if you noticed, between games 1 and 2, they added the Larry O'Brien Trophy logo or decal to the court. It was not there in game 1. It was there in game 2.
Someone slipped up somewhere.
Yeah, people were like that, and the NBA was like, yeah, let's go ahead and add that. But the court was very, very blah, if you ask me.
And is that a big deal? No.
I don't know.
But to fans and viewers and listeners, it kind of is. Like, you want to promote your biggest event like it's your biggest event. And I feel like I'm overly critical of the NBA on the show. Every time we talk about them, I feel like I have something negative to say, but I feel like it's kind of rightfully earned. I'm not a big Adam Silver fan. No. I don't like the way the NBA is officiated now. I think college basketball is so much more fun currently.
Yep.
And I don't know. I think this finals, we talked about the viewership being down.
Oh, it's way down.
And
historically bad.
I hate that for Indiana and Oklahoma City because I feel like they're a good basketball team. Indiana's got a good story. They've upset a couple teams. They've kind of defied the odds. That's kind of a fun team to watch. And then OKC, you've got the MVP on your team, SGA, and it's not clicking. It's not Jordan and the Bulls.
No,
it's not.
And I'm sure the city of Oklahoma City and Indianapolis, I'm sure the ratings are very good in those cities. But it's like, I mean, here in the South where we're at right now, I'm out and about. Nobody's talking about the NBA Finals.
Everyone's ready for college football.
They are. We were talking about these preseason magazines.
Yeah.
And, it's a shame. And maybe that's on our fault part. Maybe it's because we're not talking about it because you don't have much interest. I've got probably less interest than you do in the NBA. I don't know what it is. I love March Madness. I'm all about March Madness. I love college basketball. Love it. I mean, absolutely can't get enough of it. But the NBA, I guess, when I watch an NBA game and I hear the organ playing while they're dribbling, that drives me nuts.
Well, see, that when I hear that, that doesn't bother me.
During the game action. You don't hear that in college basketball.
So that makes me think back to, like, Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns, playing a team, a Lakers team with Vlade Divac on it. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, I kind of enjoy that. But the NBA has lost so much momentum, and I think it's because of the way that they officiate the games, and the star power doesn't
seem, lack thereof.
Yeah, doesn't seem to be the same. And would we feel differently if LeBron and the Lakers were in this finals?
I would. I mean, I'm just going to be totally transparent. I would be much more into the NBA Finals if it was LeBron and the Lakers versus either the Cavs or the Celtics.
So you think it's more of a lack of star power?
It is for me.
Yeah.
And that's just me. And I heard some people making this comment, and I don't know if it's true. They were talking about there's so many foreign players now in the NBA that we don't know these people. Some of them have a very difficult time, speaking English, so you can't hardly interview them. They're not endorsing products like Magic Johnson was back in the day. They don't have the charisma of a Michael Jordan or guys like that. I get it. It has a different feel. The Bulls, I mean, with Michael Jordan, that was must-see TV. I could not watch the NBA
regular
finals.
Season games were that way for the Bulls.
When I saw Michael Jordan on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta watch it because you never know what he's capable of doing, and he did it more often than not. He came through in the clutch, and guys like a Kobe Bryant, and I even loved Dominique Wilkins back in the day.
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal. I loved those guys because they brought it, and they were big time stars, and they had a lot of charisma. And I watched them playing in college. I don't know, man. It was a different era.
Yeah, Shaq and Kobe on those Lakers teams, playing against the Allen Iverson and the 76ers.
Oh, yeah.
There was so much attention on that because you had so many dudes on the court.
We're talking about practice, man.
Yeah, we're talking practice. Listen, big AI guy. I like him. But, you know, there's this documentary that came out, and it's about Reebok and Shaquille O'Neal. It's a Shaquille O'Neal documentary. Highly recommend it. It's really cool, really neat, especially if you enjoyed that time period of NBA basketball. I know we've went off on a tangent. Jim and I seem to do that every once in a while.
By the way, have you ever seen that movie Air? About Jordan
great
being
movie.
Recruited by Nike. Nike was a fledgling sneakers manufacturer back in the day out there in Oregon, and they got him signed up, and it's the best.
Yeah, great movie.
It's a great movie, but it's the best decision Nike ever made,
without a doubt.
And of course, Bo Jackson, Bo Nose, Bo Nose, and all that stuff. Listen, Nike was hitting home run after home run back in the 80s. But, yeah, that's a great documentary. Well, actually, that's a movie, but the documentary about Reebok, that's some interesting stuff,
Yeah,
man.
it's a great show. It's on Netflix. Shaquille O'Neal is it's his show. But Allen Iverson's in it with him, and they're talking about reviving Reebok, which had just recently been bought back from Adidas. Really cool, very interesting.
When I was growing up, Adidas was huge back in the 80s. And in the 70s, it was like Converse,
Yes.
And then
Converse dominated during that time.
Converse dominated at the time. And then Adidas made a big splash, some foreign, company, the three stripes on all their shoes and everything.
Run DMC was big with Adidas, man.
And then Nike came out, and then when Michael Jordan did that thing and he took off like he did, Nike exploded. Everyone had to have Nikes, man.
One thing that was really cool about that was that when they came out with the Jordans that were the team colors,
the red and black.
Yes, the NBA had a rule where you had to wear the white sneakers.
Yep.
Always, everything had to be primarily white. Well, Jordan broke the mold on that, and he's the one that got that rule changed ultimately because he took, I believe it was like a $50,000 fine
every night,
every game that he wore those shoes. But he wore them so much, and he was the only one doing it, that it generated so much revenue for Nike and then eventually the Jordan brand that the NBA said, well, this is craziness. We need to just let this happen because we're missing out on money opportunities here too.
You see, you watch sport. You watch a baseball game or a football game. Back in the 80s, every guy had the same color cleats on. Football was either white or black. Baseball, you either wore the black, with the solid black, or you had your team colors like the Reds at times wore red cleats. Now you watch a game, you got this guy's got gray on,
Teal.
this guy's got another color on. It's like a rainbow of cleats. That's because there's no stipulation. Everyone has to be. It's not uniform, and that's where the fines used to come in. Like I said, when Michael Jordan wore the red and black, if I'm not mistaken, I think Nike paid those fines for him.
I believe you're right.
They paid. Not that he couldn't afford it. He could. But I think Nike.
But they definitely could.
They definitely could, and they paid the fine for Michael Jordan and like I said, 82 games during the regular season, he got fined for every time he wore the red and black.
That's wild
shoes. And then, like I said, they changed the rule.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, just to change pace before we have to cut out for the day, the legendary Joey Chestnut. Are you a fan of professional eating?
I love the hot dog eating
Me
contest,
too.
man.
I'm right there with you. So I love Joey Chestnut. So
remember Kobayashi before him?
Oh, Kobayashi, yes.
Kobayashi, yeah.
Kobayashi was the guy until Joey Chestnut came around. But so for those of you that don't know, Joey Chestnut had signed a deal with this vegan plant-based hot dog company last year and was banned from the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being disappointed hearing that. But it sounds like Nathan's is going to let the famous, and I'm sure you talk about money,
the
ratings
were down, man.
Yes, but it sounds like they're in talks right now to allow Joey Chestnut to return to the iconic Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest that's going to take place on July 4th. So excited about that as a Joey Chestnut fan.
Okay, Andy, I'm going to ask you, and I'm not going to put a clock on it. No, let's say within an hour.
Well, we got a clock on us.
How many hot dogs could you eat in an hour?
In an hour? Yeah. So, hey, have you heard of the 9-inning challenge? where you got to have 9 beverages, 9 hot dogs, and 9 innings.
There's no way I could do it.
Yeah, I don't think I could either. But if you gave me an hour, I think I could get 7 hot dogs down.
Yeah, I bet I couldn't get 3. Maybe 3 is the max for me.
Jim's over here making me look bad. Hey, listen, fun show today. I always enjoy it, Jim.
Absolutely.
Talking college football's got us fired up. Talking Atlanta Braves winning a series has got us fired up. And, of course, talking Joey Chestnut eating hot dogs has got me hungry. So with that, we're signing off for the day. We appreciate you guys listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
It's time for a Don Ledford of Cleveland traffic update on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Don Ledford